Now that we're really done with the creation of a post and setting it up and displaying it and all of that, I want to be able to update and delete the posts as well. So if we go to the My Post link, you can see here we have an edit button that should take us to an edit page, which we don't have yet. Let's go and set that up so that we can have somewhere to actually go with this. From here, we're just going to go straight to the web.php and create our edit route for that. I'm going to copy this one. And it's going to be posts / post. We are using root model binding, and then it's going to be / edit. This is going to be the page. Again, I've said before, I didn't really want to do a dialogue for these, which is why they are on separate pages. We could have, it would have been too big and there would have been no point to being a dialogue because it was going to be the same size as the whole page anyway, the full dialogue. We're going to go ahead and use the edit function for that. And again, this is just to display the form, edit. And then we'll go to the post controller so that we can add this edit to that. We're going to come down. Copy this, we'll come down to the edit. And instead of posts create, this will be posts edit. That'll be the name of the page. We also need to bring in that post, which is kind of nice because we are already injecting it in here with root model binding. And we just need a type for this. Let's go and create that page. Since edit is going to be similar to the create page, let's just go ahead and take that create page and copy it over to save us a bit of time. And then we'll go ahead and change this to post edit. We will need to add the post in here as well, but first of all, let's just create the link, which will be in our components simple card so that we can get to it. And if we come down here, close that a little bit, this is the button that we have that's supposed to be going there. We can change this to link. And the href will be, we'll say edit, and then we'll hopefully grab the right one, edit posts. That one. And then we need to put in which post it is. Now, since we're passing in the item, we can say item ID. And let's go up to make sure that it was imported correctly. And it was from our route / posts route. So let's save that and make sure that we can get to this page. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click edit. And this isn't one of the ones that we have an actual image for. The ones that we have an image for were the last ones that we created here. So let's do this. And then go to that edit so that we can do a preview of the current image. Let's close this now. We don't need those. We'll go back to the edit. And let's think about this logically. Well, this is an edit page, which means we have a post coming in that we need to edit. So let's create a type for it. We'll say post edit props equals. And we're going to bring in that post, and that post is going to be of type post type. It's not going to be an array because, again, this is only one post. So now we can bring that in here and we'll be able to use it in the render. We'll say post edit props. Save that. And now we can take a look and start using it accordingly. Now we haven't created the update function yet. I just want to be able to see the information that we have coming in from the controller. I want to be able to see it here first, so that we know what it is we're editing. We'll start here with the title. Now the title right now doesn't have any kind of default value. We can put default value, and that default value will be the post that we're bringing in and the title. Let's grab this one and do the same for the min red. And for the body is going to be a little bit differently because we are using tiny MCE. So we can give it an initial value. We removed it initially because it had just some random text in there, but we can actually put our post body. Now, before we get to the image, right, before we get to this one down here, let's just take a look and make sure that we can see everything else. There we go. We have the title, we have the min red, and then we have our body as intended. Now on this file pond component that we have a function called onUpdateFiles, and it's going to be the same type of thing that we did for the create. We do need other properties to get all of this to work together. The first thing that I want to do, and I'm going to put it up here, is to have a default value. So I'm going to create a variable called files. It's going to be part of it. We are going to grab the first one, but we're going to do it above the return. So we'll say files equal, and then I am going to call that the default image. We haven't created it yet, so we're going to go and do that now. Let's head up here and let's see how we can do this. Now we already have a variable for the image. It's a state. I don't want to touch that one because that's going to be when we actually switch out the image. But I'm going to copy this one for now, and I'm going to call this default image because we can set the state based on what we have. And then this one, set default image. It's going to use the state, but we are going to put some types on here. First, I want a string or null or any. Once we're done with this, this is hopefully going to be the last episode that we have. I'm still learning TypeScript and React, and so I'm not really totally sure about this because I do think that you're not supposed to use any, and I think you're not supposed to also use null. I'm not 100% on that. I'm still trying to work that out. But what I have said earlier in the beginning of this is that members have access to this now, but once it's done, everyone will have access. You'll have access to the code as well, which means that you can send pull requests if there's a correction that needs to be made, right? I'm not really going to be adding functionality once we're done because I'm going to be moving on to the next project. You'll be able to send pull requests through GitHub and just kind of make corrections on these things. And if it works and if it's okay, and if it's not 6 months to a year down in the future, then I will take a look and try to upload it. But in the immediate future, that's pretty much what you guys can do. For now, everything that I've done works accordingly, works as I need it to work. That's just sort of my little disclaimer. What I want to do is I want to use this state to show the image that we currently have as the initial preview. Now, with that being said, let's create a function because FilePond has an onInit value that we can use. So I'm going to say onInit equals, and then this is going to say handle init because that's what it's going to do. It's going to be a function that handles what happens on init, and it will work with this files property to show our default image or when we get to that page first. We have upload image here. Above it, we'll create that handle init function. We're not going to have any arguments in here, but we are going to say, we'll do it conditionally, if else. We have the post coming in to this page. We can say if there's a post image, then we'll set the default image to be storage images posts / and then we'll add on the post image. Basically, like we did in the previous video with the post image component, is what we're doing here for this file pond. If there is a post that has an image, we can use that image as the default image. Else, paste that here, and the default image will be the default image because the rest of our images will have that. So we're just saying if there's an actual image value associated with this post, it's a post that we created when we uploaded an image with that post, then set it to that post. If there's not, then use the default image that was being used through the model attribute that we have. Either or, whatever it is, just set it as the default image. Let's go and take a look and see if we can see this. This is the post that we created with this little bug on it. Let's go to my post and we'll click on one of these and see it's just a random image. So it doesn't really matter what the default image is because everywhere it's displayed, it's being set to display randomly. So that's fine. We know it's not an image, but at least it's not an empty space being shown. We could also pull a specific image for it, but it doesn't really matter because it's not an image that we have. If you wanted to, you can do all the default images to be one image and never have that problem. You'll always have that image, but I prefer the random image approach, and that's what I'm going to be using. We can see our default image, and let's change this button. This is going to be update. Now we are using the form component from inertia, so we do need to change up this information in here to be appropriate to what we're, what we need. I'm going to save this. And for now, we're going to go to the web routes and just create the web route and get it working. This is going to be a patch. Again, you can use patch or put. I prefer patch because it makes more sense. Patch, you're patching something up, you're fixing something. That's what updating is. That's why I prefer to use that. But now we don't need this anymore. And then our function will be update. Update. Let's go to the host controller and start working on that. Let's come down here and do update. This, all I'm going to do is just request so that I can see it and see what we're getting. Just to make sure that we have all of the variables that we're going to need coming in and that this will work. We have a function. Let's go back to our edit and let's put that into the form. This will be patch. Then it'll be update. And what are we going to update? Well, we're going to update the post ID. Let's make sure to import that. Make sure that's the correct one. And then we don't need this store anymore here. So let's finish filling out what we need for this form component, and then we'll deal with the function to make sure we're bringing back the appropriate stuff. We have patch, we have transform data, preserve scroll true. Great. On success. This will be post, and instead of created, it'll be updated. And then we have the default values, fine. Update, submit, all that's good. Now we just need to hit the correct function to make sure that, that we're going to the right stuff. Because we do need to handle this upload image information. So I'm going to save that so we don't lose anything. And the only thing that we really need to work on, because the set image is going to set whatever comes back in the image info that we're grabbing from here, that's going to be put into the image property, right? The image property, the state that we're using to send back to the backend. But we also have this set default image, which we can use to set the default image to also be this, so that it grabs the correct one. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to say set default image to be the reader result as string, the same as the other one is. So let's go and just quickly see what this does. Okay, we have a random photo here. Great. We have a bunch of images in here, and let's pick something that I haven't done yet. Let's pick this one. Put it in. And as you can see, our preview now has this. If we send it, then you can see we are getting the correct information we need and whatever the information was here. Our update function is going to be very similar to the store function in adding this. The only thing that we really need to do is deal with the image that's already in our storage and in our database. Now let's go ahead and go over to the post controller so we can work on that logic. For this update, I am just going to go ahead and grab our store function because, as I said, it is very similar. We're going to validate everything's the same. Nothing really needs to be unique because I don't personally care if the title, the body, the min red is the same as someone else's post. I'm not going to be too worried about that at all. We'll go ahead and paste this in and then change what we do not need. Request post. This I do need to bring in the right type for this. The validation's the same. Title, body, min red, all that's the same. We could create a form request for this. It's up to you. It's up to you, right? But we do need to check for some things because other than the title, body, and min red, everything's the same except for the image because we're already going to have an image. Why don't we take that image, put it into a variable, and then we can check against it. So I'm going to call this one current image. And then I'm going to say storage disk public path images posts / post image. All right, now what is this doing? Well, we're just taking our current image that we have stored in our server. We're just defining the image that we're looking for, and then we're setting it to a variable so we can check against it. If there's a request image, an image coming from the front end, and if there's a post image, what's going to happen? Well, let's take a look. In our storage app public images post folder, right now we have 2 posts that have images. If our post has an image already, then we need to switch out that post. We're updating the field in the database, which is something that we want to replicate here. We don't want to just use this image here. No matter whether you're adding or updating, we're always going to be adding posts to this folder. We want to switch them out so that we're not just having an image that we're not even using in our server. So we need to handle what we're going to do with that. And how I've chosen to do that was to remove that image from storage and replace it with whatever we're uploading. If we have a request image, so if we are putting something in that field, and then we're looking for if the post that we're looking for also has an image, then if those conditions are true, we're going to say if file exists, file exists. Now we can look for that current image because that current image would be associated with the user. And remember, since we're doing images conditionally, they may not actually have an image. If the image actually exists in storage, then what I want to do is I want to unlink. Unlink just basically deletes the file, deletes the association with the file. Then I want to unlink the current image. Now, if the file exists, yada, 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 those are the 2 checks. We can also combine this into one check if you want. Completely and totally up to you. I don't like to have too many if statements within each other, but I think 3 is typically my max at this point in my life. If we have a request image, then this stuff is being taken care of. We don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. Now we need to deal with the image that we're getting from the request. So the same thing, we'll create an exploded variable. We'll grab the base64 information. We'll do the file name and create that. And then we'll request merge the image and then storage disk public, put images, post, file name, decoded, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But this deletes the image from here. And then we reassociate it with the user here. And then we are redirected. Let's see if this works or if I completely demolished everything. We have 2 images here already. Let's make sure that we have 2 images at the end of this attempt. We'll go ahead, refresh. We have our fake image and I'll do updated. The min red I don't care about. Updated. We'll have some paragraphs and stuff in here as well so we can see that. For the image, I'll grab one of these and we'll grab this one here, put it in, and now we'll go ahead and update. So you can see we have the image that's been changed, and if we refresh, it will still be the same image. That's the new image that we picked. Let's go and check our storage. We come back here and we go back to our storage folder. Something didn't work. We have 3. Why do we have 3? Well, let's take a really good look at this. And I am going to make some changes. Instead of the current image being from storage like this, I am going to say public path. Because this image is currently in our public folder. It's in the one that's directly linked. So I'm going to say that. And then we can get rid of this. And we can grab this. That will be the path. And then here we can now incorporate that post. Let me close this up a little bit so we can see it better. So it'll be the public path images, but don't forget, it's also in our storage folder. Public path is storage images, posts, / and then whatever the post image, that will be the current image. Then we'll say request image. And then that means that we don't really need this. So I'm going to remove that from here. And then now we're just saying if the file exists, which is the current image, that's the one from up here. If there is a request image, the first thing we want to check is if this file actually exists in our storage. And if it exists in our storage, then we'll unlink it. If it doesn't exist in our storage, then we'll just continue on. We'll say exploded, same thing as above, and then we will go ahead and replace it with whatever our new image is. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to open this so that we can keep an eye on what's going on here. Because right now we have 3 images and we should still have 3 images when it's done. Now we can go ahead to my posts and we'll go ahead. We'll just do the one we just did. I'm going to grab an image. Let's say I grab this one, bring it over, drop it in. And now if we come up here, we update, we do have the new image on our page. And even if we refresh it, it's still here. That hasn't changed, but let's make sure that this post folder only has 3. As you can see, it's gone ahead and shifted them around and we still have 3, which means that our unlink did work and that we were able to update the image the way that we initially intended. Now, if we go to posts and we go to, let's say, read this user's post, and let's say we want to read more on this, we don't actually have to worry about a button or anything because our edit isn't on here and we can actually do a search for edit on here. But this is ours. This is our post, right? But we can't actually access anyone else's post that doesn't belong to us. That works the way that it's supposed to as well. Not only that, this did keep our formatting on here. And if we go to my posts and we take a look at that one, and we go to read more, and it still does have our formatting and everything else that we need to have for that. And so that works accordingly. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to be able to delete our post. So let's say we go to this one. We're supposed to have a delete button, which I didn't grab from our layout file because I just copied over the create post. But because deleting is such an easy function, we can just go ahead and add that. Now, if we go ahead over to our, we can close all of these, but if we go to our pages and we go to our edit page, we'll just take a look down here. I'm going to close this so that we can see it better. And then I want to make some changes to this container. So we have container flex, and then I'm also going to put flex call because we're going to have that red button that's going to be at the top of the page. Justify center, item center, all that's fine. BG white. Font sans, leading normal, all that's correct. But I do want to add margin Y of 6 so that we can have some spacing. I'm going to save that and we're going to head down. Now before the form, I am going to have another form and it doesn't need to be a component because again, this is just for the delete, but I do want to keep it programmatically correct. We'll say form, we don't need action on this, but for now, I am going to just leave it like that. We will have some classes on here, so I will go ahead and add that. And then we're going to use the button component that we are getting from chatcn. That's fine. Button. The type will be submit. The variant will be destructive because it will be the red button. Disabled will be when it's processing. And then we can do that text in here. Just like we did for the button down below, the red button. We'll use the spinner component. And then this will be delete. Why don't we go create the function so that we can put that in here and that will allow us to start building this out so that we don't get errors on here. So we'll go over to the we'll go over to the web routes and then we'll add that down here. I'm going to copy this one. This is going to be delete posts/post, the same. The function name will be destroy. Let's go to the post controller and sort that out. Right now, I am not going to have it do anything. But what I will do is dd post. But at least we have it up here. We'll deal with the functionality in a moment. Let's go ahead and build out the rest of our form for this. Because we are not using the form component from inertia for the form like we are for the update and create, we're going to manually create a function, and I'm going to put it under here. We'll start with some variables. And for us, we're going to need processing because that'll be coming in from inertia. And then we'll say use form, and that'll be coming from inertia.js React. We'll open these up. And then here, we're just going to need to really address the post, and that post will be post ID. We're telling inertia what post we want to delete and grab it from here. And then we can use the processing. And then we can also use the function that we just created for the route, which is the destroy. Now, because delete, destroy, and all that stuff could conflict with the DOM from React, we need to define it like this. And then we'll say that that is the destroy function that we're looking for. Go up here, and I should be able to just use destroy. We'll find out. We'll leave that here for now. And then for the form, we need to include those properties. As you can see, processing is already here. Let's go and create our function. For this, I want to do on submit. This is going to be from React. On submit, we're going to grab an event. This event will be of type void. We'll open up some brackets here so that we can work that out. Now, because this is JavaScript and we are submitting something, we want to stop the default behavior of this form. So we're going to use this default prevent function, which will keep it from refreshing the page or what have you. Why don't we just for now console log that event? Refresh it. And let me open up the inspect tool so we can see what we're console logging, and we'll click delete. And as you can see, we're getting the event here. And these are things that can be targeted through that function now. I'm going to close this and let's continue on. Now we can get rid of this and we can start using that function. We have destroy, and then it'll be destroy the post ID. And then we can do preserve scroll is true. And then on success, these are just the inertia React functions. Well, for now, I'm just going to alert. This is just JavaScript. We'll say destroyed. We're going to change this up in a minute. Now we're getting a little bit of an issue here. If I just let it sit for a few seconds, it says an argument of type void is not assignable to parameter of type string, and that the number is not assignable to parameter of string, which would be the post ID. Again, we have the post coming in here, but it's not exactly being read. And we have the function here where we are using this. So what can we do? Because inertia is using things in its own way and React does its things in its own way, we're getting a bit of a conflict here with this destroy. What I would prefer to do is, instead of using these functions up here like this, we're using several of them. So what we can do is just get rid of this. And instead of using those individual ones, we can say post from @routes post. And now we can use this variable and replace all of the other places where we're using the update, delete, users posts, or what have you. We can delete those from there. We'll come down here to the first one, which is the destroy. This is the function that we're working on. I am going to grab this, and we're going to put it here as well for the update. And I think there might just be one other place for this. The link to your posts, and that should be good. So let's come up here, back to this function that we're working on, and we'll just say alert post destroyed or deleted. Go ahead, delete, and we've hit the back end, right? Because that's why we have this. This is the dyn dump that we did on that destroy method. And if you look, This is what's here. We're getting the actual posts. And then we'll just click out of this. We're not going to get the alert because we got the die and dump first. Now, because we are sending back the correct post and we were able to delete, we can now go to that function and flesh it out. Let's head over to that post controller and jump down to here. We can get rid of this now. And then all we need to do here is post delete. Because we already are using root model binding, the post is already injected. We know we're grabbing that post, so we can just do post delete. And then after that, we can do return to route. We'll do posts user posts so that we can just go back to our own particular post page. And then we'll say auth ID because we do have that route is set to go to our user ID. So we can just use that to inject it into that post user post. Let's go ahead, save that, and let's try again. I'm going to refresh this, and then we can go ahead and delete, post deleted, okay. Now we come down here and our post was deleted from here. We're going to do something besides that alert, but one thing that I want to note is that we deleted the post, but we didn't delete the image from our server. We come over here and we open up our storage folder, public images, posts. We have 3 images. Why don't we do it from the beginning so that we can see how many images that we have here? If we go ahead and create, and then we grab, let's say, this one. We'll go ahead and create it. And what happened? Was that added or was it not? It was not. So let's try it again. I don't know what happened there. We have the image. Let's go and check the storage. So currently we have 3 images. And now we have 4 because we've just created a post and we've just added an image to that post. Now, if we go to my posts and come down, let's go and edit. We'll delete, post deleted. Okay. And if we come down here, you can see it's gone. And if we look here, really, we should have 4 images because we haven't deleted it from here still. We have deleted the post, but we haven't deleted the image. So I just wanted to do this as a reference. We already have something to delete that image from our storage, and we have it in the update function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. We're not going to use it all, but we are going to use some of it. And we're going to come back down to delete, and we'll add it here. We have the current image. We have public path. Instead of public path, we're going to do storage, disk, public. Here we can say the path is images, posts. Then we have the post image. And then instead of request image here, we can say if post image, and then if file exists, current image, unlink current image. We can get rid of this stuff here because we're not actually doing anything to update that image. And that's all we need to do. So now we're accounting not only for deleting the post, but also deleting the image before we delete the post. Let's try this again. And let's, before we do that, open this up so that we can see what we have in here. We have 4 images in here. Go to create. Let's grab this image. Create. We have it here. We go to my posts. We have it here. We come back here. We should now have 5 images associated with our posts. We can go ahead and edit. Let's delete it. And now it's gone from here. We come over here. We have 5 now. We should have 4 now. There we go. So we've managed to delete our images along with our posts when we delete. Let's go and clean up what happens when the post is deleted. Right now, we have an onSubmit function with a destroy method to delete the post, which is absolutely fine. Under the prevent default, I don't really want to do anything fancy. The Sonner, as I said, from Shadc and is not my favorite, and I didn't want to bring in another package to handle just showing a confirmation. But JavaScript has built into it the ability to create a confirmation modal, just like the one we saw with the alert, except it's a confirmation modal. So what happens is it pops up with a pop-up that says, are you sure? And then you can say yes or no. If you say yes, then it'll delete it. It'll go through with the rest of the function. And if you say no, then it'll just cancel everything out right there, right then. That's something that we can leverage here. On submit, we'll do if confirm. The confirm is that function. We'll say if confirm, let's say, are you sure? This is nice because you can customize whatever you put in here as well. And it's very, very basic. We'll say equals false. Then all we'll do, we don't even need this. We can just return. Let me open this. If the confirmation is false, meaning we say we don't want to confirm it or we want to cancel or whatever, then it'll just return back to whatever it is. If it's true, then it will hit this function right here, which is the destroy function. Also, what we can do is instead of this alert here, we can actually use our toast notification to handle that as well. And since we already have that installed here, I'm just going to grab it from here and then we'll change it accordingly. On success, instead of this alert, we'll do this promise here. That stuff is the same, position is the same. And instead of your post has been deleted, we can say deleted. Let's give this a try. We'll start with a create. Let's bring in this one. We'll create. We have it here. We can go to my posts. We see it here. Edit. Delete. Here it says, are you sure? And if we press cancel, then nothing happens. If we refresh the page, it's still here. And if we delete and we say okay, then we're brought back to our posts and it's gone. And that's pretty much how I want to do it. As you can see, we have the little Sonner. Now we've set out everything that we wanted to do. Not really a high level overview of what we're doing, more of a mid-level, because we did learn how to use React with the Laravel as a backend. We learned how to bring in packages in React using FilePond and TinyMCE and just a bunch of other features that we could add to it and really just implement using React with the Laravel as a backend. As I've been saying this whole time, I'm still new to React and I'm still getting used to TypeScript. For this particular project, I will be accepting pull requests if they work, and if they're not AI generated, I will use them to clean up some stuff, meaning some of the functions that we have in here, like the file item string, I'm not sure if this any is appropriate. As I've been learning this stuff, I've been reading that you really don't want to have types that are any or undefined because it's just not something done. You should give it some kind of type because that's the whole point of TypeScript, is to know what type of item you're looking for to be able to predict what type of item you'll be getting. So if it's a number, you're expecting a number. If it's a string, you're expecting a string. Any and undefined defeats the purpose of using TypeScript. As I said, if you guys know a better way to do this, then please send a pull request and then I will take a look and update it appropriately. I won't be making another video to update. I'm just going to update the code if I do get a pull request that does work and is appropriate for this project. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.